Hi, welcome back. My name is Jay Yoza. I teach, mentor, and coach people on public speaking so that they can give winning high stakes speeches, whether it's for a job interview, a business meeting, or a conference. Today, I want to give you a very important public speaking tip. And this tip comes from a client that I was coaching. It was a woman, and during my coaching session, she asked me a question that I had to be very careful on how I answered. She asked a simple question: do you consider Donald Trump a great speaker? And I didn't know how to answer that because there is a right answer and a wrong answer. And I took my time before I answered it. What is the right answer here? But then I said, you know what? I have to give the right answer. I have to be honest with her. And I said, look, I consider Donald Trump to be a great speaker. And she flinched. I said, well, let me explain what I mean by that. And then I went on to explain, which I'm going to explain to you, so that before you send me leave a nasty message, hear me out. One of the key things about public speaking that people do not ever teach you is public speaking is really a misnomer. It's really a public conversation. Think about that. You are speaking, they are listening, but in a sense, you're having a conversation. But this is a conversation that we don't know how to have. We are very good in having a one-on-one conversation where I'm speaking and you're listening and we are exchanging ideas, communicating back and forth. That we all get. But then when we get on a stage, that no longer happens. The audience is not going to be talking to you, but in a sense, you are. So how do you do that? You got to know how to read your audience well. But reading alone isn't sufficient. You also need to get your audience to respond. Let me repeat this again. It's a very simple thing, but it's very hard to do. You got to get your audience to respond. If the audience is not responding, your speech is dying. If your audience is not responding, you are dying on stage. I hate to say that, but that is true. So now let me get back to Donald Trump. Before Donald Trump started using teleprompter, all he did in his speech was getting the audience to respond. Now you may say, well, there was nothing there in his speech, there was no logic and all that. I agree, but it doesn't matter. He won. And we need to understand what made him win. And if you don't understand it, then you're going to also not win when you're giving a speech. What he was doing was cleverly, whether he knew it or not, maybe it's instinctive in his part, he knew how to get the audience to respond. He was having a conversation. He was asking questions, and he would say, who's going to pay for the wall? And people would yell out, Mexico, Mexico. That is a very effective technique. Now, you don't have to be over the top like him, but you do need to get the audience to respond. If you're not getting your audience to respond, you're not connecting. Another speaker who does this really well is Tony Robbins. If you ever watch Tony Robbins, he wants that response, and he will ask the audience at some point when he makes a statement or some factual stuff, he'll ask the audience, say ah, and the audience will all say ah. You gotta get the audience to respond. If the audience is not responding, your speech is dying. And this is one of the reasons why Donald Trump is a great speaker. There is no point in having a conversation if all you are doing is speaking and the other person is just not reacting or not responding. That's not a conversation. That's you dumping information on the people. And nobody wants that. Simple as that. Nobody wants that. Think about it. Right now, I'm just dumping information, and I'm hoping that I'm having a conversation with you. I'll ask you questions. Do you want me to just dump information, or do you want me to somehow interact? Now, with the camera, that's hard. But if you were in front of me, it would be a lot easier. And that's why sometimes when you're speaking on camera, it's more challenging than when you're speaking when somebody is in the same room or an audience. I tend to be much more dynamic when I have the audience than speaking in front of a camera. I can't move that much. I gotta be careful. It's like I'm kind of stuck here. So when you are giving a speech, you have to craft your speech first. Then you have to make your speech into a conversation. And some of the techniques in conversation is to ask a lot of questions to the audience. Get them to respond. If there is something humorous, not funny, not joke, but something humorous, get them to respond. Get them to respond. Response is critical to your success. If they're responding, then you know your speech is doing well. And you can perhaps improvise if you have to. And that's what makes a great speech, an effective speech. In my opinion, great speech is not the person who gives the best logic or anything. It's the person who gets the job done, who gets the audience to spread the message, take action, and just enjoy the speech. So keep that in mind next time when you are giving a speech. It's not what you are saying that really even matters. It's how the audience is responding that really counts. And whoever gets the audience to respond is going to be deemed the winner. That person is more likely to achieve things. So I explained to her that this is the reason why I think Donald Trump is a great speaker. Even though I don't think she liked my answer, but at least she understood it. And she continued to remain my client. So it kind of got scary, but I had to be honest and saying, look, I have a different way of judging how good an effective speech is. I look at only one thing. A purpose of a speech is getting the audience to do something. If they can react, respond, or then that's what the speech is all about. And you got to make that speech. You don't need to take voice lessons. You don't need to take acting lessons. You just need to get the audience to respond. And I'll give you another one before I wrap this up. I recently interviewed a world champion of public speaking, 2016, Darren Tay. And if you watch his winning speech, Outsmart, Outlast, and I pointed this out to him, I said, look, the thing that really stands out is you got the audience to respond, the way you're asking them questions. And I said, when you did that, it was obvious that even if you hadn't won, that this was a very good speech and you're a great speaker. So I'll include the link and you can check it out and let me know what you think. But go back and I'll even find if I can find an appropriate link for Tony Robbins' speech where he says, say ah to an audience, and also see if I can find a Donald Trump speech where he gets people to yell out Mexico the way he asks questions. These are very effective techniques when you are speaking. It's something we do one-on-one, like, hey, does this make sense? Hey, what do you think? We do that in a group setting, but you also have to do that in a large setting. It shouldn't change. Speaking is a misnomer. You're having a conversation. Keep that in mind. And if you keep that in mind, any speech you give, whether it's for a job interview, whether it's for a business meeting or a conference, you'll win. Let me know what you think. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, let me know. And if there's any help you need in the future with public speaking, whether it's for a job interview, business meeting, or conference, send me an email at joza@speakingmoments.com. Okay, thank you for watching, and good luck.